Hey everyone, it is something we all kind of go through, but do you ever look around and realize that the people you used to spend every single day with, like your high school friends, your college crew, maybe even your childhood best friends, they are just not really in your life anymore? Maybe you text every now and then, or maybe you still follow each other on Instagram, but it is just not really the same. And you might start wondering to yourself, did I do something wrong? Did we grow apart or worse? Am I just alone? Now, honestly, most friendships do fade in your 20s, and that is not a sign that something is broken. It is actually a sign that you are growing. So today, I want to break down why this happens, why it is normal, and how to actually build the kinds of friendships that do last. So if you have ever felt guilty or confused about losing touch with people, this video is for you because I myself have experienced this, especially once I got out of college. The couple of years afterwards, I definitely started to notice this. So starting out, why do friendships feel so different in your 20s compared to growing up? Well, one of the first things that I feel like I did not even realize until I got older is that high school and college friendships. They are built on proximity, like in high school, for example. You see your friends every single day, 5 days a week. You guys have different classes. You live close together. Maybe you go over to a certain buddy's house that lives 10 minutes away every weekend, or, you guys are constantly hanging out because you all live near each other. And so that is part of the reason that you are friends, and college friendships are the same way, because you are all going to the same school, even if you do not have the same classes. You might live in the dorms together or live in apartments that are nearby. Everybody is kind of near each other. So it is really easy to, be able to hang out. It could be a 5-10 minute drive, or it could even be walking distance. And so having that close proximity is one of the main reasons that you actually have these friendships. And I did not realize that until I got older, and do not get me wrong. You can definitely have really good friendships even with distance, but it is a lot harder to maintain. And one thing that happens whether it is graduating high school or college is that people scatter. Like, for example, when I think of my core friend group, there were about 6 of us. Now, when I look back at that core group, we do not really hang out as much anymore. We do not really talk anymore. And the 6 of us who all grew up in the same town, only 2 of them live in the same city. And that is not even our hometown. One of them does live in the hometown, and then one moved away to a completely different state. I moved away to a completely different state, and so did the other one. So a lot of us have just kind of gone down different paths. Some people will move for jobs, some will get married, and some chase different lifestyles. For example, one of the guys in my friend group, he immediately got married. He did not go to college. He got married. He had kids. And the rest of us were, still going to college, kind of just trying to figure things out. And once people start to scatter, this is naturally going to create a gap that is kind of hard to bridge, especially when everybody is kind of juggling their own responsibilities. Like for me, in my normal week, I am kind of just sticking to my routine. And the only way I could actually hang out with one of these friends is if I flew back to my hometown or flew to one of the cities that they are currently living in. So I would actually have to kind of plan a trip out of it, which is totally fine. You can do that, but it is just a lot more effort compared to, before driving down 5-10 minutes down the road and getting to hang out. So part of the reason friendships feel so different in your 20s is because your environment changes. So your relationship changes, and that is okay. That is extremely normal. And so the next thing I want to talk about is that there is kind of this myth of having lifelong friends. Like you will always hear about, people being lifelong best friends, like they were best friends when they were 5 and they have been friends for decades. Now, kind of like what you see in different television shows where the same friend group hangs out forever, and do not get me wrong, that does happen for a lot of people. But in reality, most friends, they can be seasonal. They are not lifelong. Some people are meant to just be in your life just for a specific stage of your life. And that is okay. It is not a negative thing. For example, you may have some college friends that you guys partied a lot and that was what you did. And then when you graduated college, they were still partying and you did not really want to because maybe you were trying to focus on building a career or starting a family or chase different goals. And they are going out to the bars and still getting hammered and trying to chase tail every week. Meanwhile, you are kind of trying to, take a different path, and that is totally fine. And I feel like the sooner that you accept this truth, you will realize that it is more of an evolution thing. It is not that your friend is betraying you or you are betraying them. It is just that you guys are going down different paths. You might have different values and different goals, and that is totally okay. For example, that core group of friends that I had in high school, most of those guys, with the exception of one, I am still rooting for. I still, I want them to be happy. It is not like I am wishing ill will upon them. I want them to do well, but I just do not really talk to them anymore. And that is totally fine. Some of them just recently got engaged, and I know I am probably not going to get invited to the wedding, which sure, that would have been a letdown 3 or 4 years ago. But at the same time, we only text maybe once a year. And I also know that weddings are extremely expensive. And at the end of the day, we are still kind of supporting each other just from a distance. So that is just kind of how it goes. And again, happen, not a big deal. So that is a little bit about the myth of lifelong friends. And I have even actually had the flip where somebody was kind of my friend for a long time, but then they are still kind of my friend. So like they were not very close to me, but I still talk to them to this day. I have a couple of friends like that, which is kind of cool actually, because those are the friends where you are like, wow, I have actually known you for almost 3 decades now. I have known you for 10, 15 plus years, 20 plus years. It is pretty cool. And so you can also have the flip of that where somebody you thought would be your friend for life is not, but somebody who you did not expect to be a really long-term friend still is. So there is always the flip side of that. And then another thing I want to talk about is why do friendships fade? I feel like the 3 biggest reasons starting out with different priorities. So some people, and this was kind of the route I took, I was grinding away at my career. Some other people prioritize relationships. Some people prioritize travel or hobbies or just different things there. Like I said, I had one friend in our friend group where right when we got out of high school, 5 of us went to college and he immediately did not go to college, which was totally fine. No judgment there. But he immediately found his wife, got married and started having kids. And the rest of us were like, whoa, man, we are kind of going down a different route there, which it is. Okay, no judgment to him. As long as he is happy and doing his thing, I am cool with it. But the rest of us were, just trying to get our bachelorette degrees. Meanwhile, this guy is already popping kids out. So we are definitely on, 2 different levels and different waves of life. And like I said before, for me, I have kind of just been focused on grinding my career, which is totally fine. I have really enjoyed that, but the cost of that is not being able to hang out as much. Like if I am spending a Friday night or a Saturday night making YouTube videos or trying to be productive and, my friends are out drinking every single weekend, we just do not really align. And that is okay. And again, I still do like to go out and occasionally do fun stuff like that, but I do not need to do it every single weekend repetitively. It just gets really tiring. And honestly, it just gets old for me after a while, like doing the exact same thing every single week and weekend that really does not, grow you as a person. I feel like it's kind of boring after a while, but that is just me. So that is the first reason I think that friendships fade is just different priorities. And that is totally okay, different strokes for different folks. I get it. The next thing is geography. Like if you are moving to a new city, whether it is, 30 minutes away or maybe a couple hours away, this is definitely going to reduce the amount of times that you guys can hang out with each other. Like for example, one of my really close friends from high school, I did not see for a couple years. And earlier this year, I flew, hung out with him. We went snowboarding for the weekend. It was a great time, but, I am probably not going to see him again for another year or 2. We still talk and text and Snapchat, but it is definitely a lot different when you are hanging out with the whole group of guys versus just talking to them on FaceTime or Snapchat or whatever that may be. So geography is definitely another one, like I said earlier, when you are growing up and you are all going to the same high school. We could all drive 15 minutes to one person's house because his parents were gone for the weekend. Hang out, have a great night. But that is not really an option anymore. Even if the entire 6 guys in my friend group, even if we all still talk, one of them lives in New York, I live in the South, one of them lives in Utah, like they are all over the place. And so it is just extremely hard, especially to get a bunch of people who have different schedules to be able to plan something and be able to meet up all at the same place. It definitely takes a lot more energy and effort there. And that kind of leads me to my third reason is it is kind of an energy investment like friendships. Like anything in life, they require effort. If one person stops putting in energy, the relationship naturally fades. And so I have a perfect example of this. I had a buddy who was in that core friend group with me. Me and him went to the same college. We were in the dorms together freshman year. We ended up living together again sophomore year, junior and senior year. We still hung out, just not as much, but we were still pretty good friends. And then I noticed after we graduated, I would text him and he would reply, do not get me wrong, but it was always me who was texting him first, or for example, his birthday would come up and I would text him happy birthday, right? I literally text him the day before just to prove that, hey, I did not see this on social media. I genuinely know your birthday because I am a real homie. And my birthday is only 9 days later and he would never text me happy birthday, even though mine was just barely over a week later. And so for me, I kind of had this realization of, look, I am always the one reaching out to this guy. I do not think he ever reaches out to me. And, it is, again, it is not like I am rooting against him. It is not like I hope that he does not have a happy or a great life. I really do hope he does. But I am not going to be the one to only reach out to you 24/7. Because at the end of the day, a friendship is a two-way street. If I reach out to you, and I am not saying we have to sit there and keep tabs on each other like, hey, I reached out to you 3 times, you did not reach out to me. But if I am the only one reaching out, it is quite a bit of energy on my end of things, and it does not seem like you are really interested in maintaining that friendship. So I am not going to sit there and beg to be your friend at the end of the day. That is just kind of how I am. And I have even had the opposite where I have a friend that maybe they are reaching out to me a lot and I am not getting back to them as much. And so that is something I try to hold myself accountable for and at least check in with them and be like, hey man, I've been super busy lately. Let us hang out sometime in the next week or 2 or sometime in the next month. I do not want you to feel like I am neglecting you or do not want to hang out. I have just been super busy because of X, Y, and Z. And normally if they are a real friend, they will get it. It is not that big of a deal. So those are the kind of 3 main reasons why friendships fade. Now, I actually want to talk about why I think this is a good thing. Losing friends will actually free up space and time for new friends who align more with your current stage of life. You are going to become more selective, and the friendships you do keep, they are going to be deeper, not wider. So for example, I would rather have 3 to 5 really close friends that are dependable than 12 surface level friendships where I cannot really trust them. I cannot rely on them. If something goes really wrong in my life, I cannot give them a call at 2 a.m. I want people that I can really be ride or dies and be very loyal to each other. That is something I am huge on when it comes to my friendships. Another reason this is actually a good thing is it also teaches you independence, being able to do your own thing. Again, do not isolate yourself. Try to maintain some form of a social life. But I feel like being able to do your own thing and be productive and grow in your own ways is a key part of building confidence in your 20s. So again, it is okay if you do lose some friends or you start talking to people a lot less because there is room for you to make new friends. And so how do you actually build stronger adult friendships? This is something that I actually have found to be a lot harder than I thought, especially being in our 20s. The first thing I would say is to be very intentional. Friends do not just happen. You have to reach out, you have to plan, you have to follow up. Like I was saying before, you want to make sure the friendship is where you are reaching out to them a little bit. They are reaching out to you. You guys are trying to hang out, have a good time, whatever that may look like, if you are always the one reaching out. So it kind of feels like that person may not that they do not want to be your friend, but they are just not really putting in any effort to the friendship. So why sit there and keep wasting your time on it? But I feel like one way to kind of help with this is if you have shared values with your friends over shared interests. So people who want similar things out of life, these are people that you are more likely to get along with or be friends with long term. And I even noticed this when I was talking earlier about how I had a couple of friends where I did not realize that they would be kind of lifelong friends, but now they are. Part of the reason for that is because all of us are very success driven and or oriented. So we like to talk about how to build wealth long term, whether that is, I have a buddy who has his own business and has been doing pretty good the past couple of years, finding different ways to make money. Like we really value trying to just do well for ourselves long term, and that is something we all kind of align on. So it is nice to have friends like that I really align with compared to that core group of guys. Do not get me wrong. Some of them have done pretty well for themselves, but they do not really care as much about being successful long term. So I think having shared values is something that is very important, but also having shared interest is great too. I mean, shared values is one thing. Having both is most ideal in my opinion, and like I said before, I would much rather have quality over quantity. I would much rather have 2 to 3 really close friends instead of spreading myself thin. And then the next thing you can do to actually build stronger adult friendships is put yourself in an environment where there is growth-minded people, whether that is in your career, whether that is networking, whether that is different hobbies you like, or, maybe you work out and, you want some gym bros to hang out with and lift with. Like, try to find people that do have similar interests to you. And then over time, you can figure out if they have similar values. This part is definitely a lot easier said than done because you are going to have to probably put yourself out there a little bit, introduce yourself to people and just see how it goes. But at the end of the day, if you are a nice guy, if you can talk about a lot of random stuff, whether it is sports or different hobbies or different things you are interested in, most people, will gravitate towards that, especially if you are confident with who you are and where you want to go in life and you are a nice, respectful person. Most people are going to like you, especially if you are humble too and you are not cocky, bragging about yourself, and you are truly trying to get to know people and ask them about themselves. You are going to have a lot better connections and just friendships in general. So the main thing that you want to take away here is that friendships fading, it does not mean failure. It just means it is transition. And this is a very normal thing to see in your 20s. I have even seen this myself. Do not cling on to old friendships out of guilt. Appreciate them for what they were and allow yourself to grow into new ones. It is okay if you were talking to your buddies a ton growing up